Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us today for this webinar on taking part in New Orleans Tricentennial. There are big plans for New Orleans' 300th birthday, and we want to make sure local businesses are aware of opportunities to be part of this massive campaign. My name is Meredith Cherney, and I am StayLocal's Program Manager. StayLocal is Greater New Orleans Independent Business Alliance. We're a nonprofit, and our mission is to create an environment for business to thrive. Joining me today, I have Jeremy Cooker, the Vice President of Marketing and Special Projects at New Orleans Tourism and Marketing Corporation. NOTMC is New Orleans Leisure Travel Promotion Agency that promotes the city as a top travel destination through advertising, public relations, social media, internet marketing, and more. Also joining me, I have Mary Kate Hutchinson, an account executive at FSC Interactive. FSC Interactive is a local marketing company that specializes in digital marketing. They are NOTMC's social media agency of record and work with them to manage popular media campaigns including Follow Your NOLA, Go NOLA, and our 300th year anniversary. Today they'll be sharing marketing opportunities and resources to help your business take part in the Tricentennial celebration. With that, I'll hand it over to Jeremy to get us started.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome. All right, so we're going to start with a little setup in terms of our campaign. We are celebrating 300 years next year, and to do that, we needed to put together a really special marketing campaign to let the world know why New Orleans, not only that New Orleans is turning 300 next year, but why they should visit and what makes our city so special. So I'm going to try to click this and forward the slide, and if I'm unable to do that, I'm going to ask Mary Kate or Meredith to do that for me. It doesn't seem to be letting me change the slide. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so this is kind of what sets up the whole campaign for us. Most cities are built on concrete, but New Orleans is built on 300 years of stories. When you leave here, you take them with you as souvenirs. Tales about how you ate something slimy and liked it, and how you danced to Tuba Phil long past the other side of midnight. You'll tell your kids how you fell in love under Spanish moss, and about the wine glass you stole from Galatoire's. You'll say, I've never seen football quite like that, and every city should let me walk around with a drink, because for the past 300 years, every great story has started the same way. One time in New Orleans. And so we're really inviting people to come to the city, be a part of the city's history, really immerse themselves in the city's stories, and hopefully create their own stories here and take those stories back home with them after they leave. All right, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the look and feel. This is probably the most comprehensive and robust tourism campaign we've done in my time being here, and I've been with the organization since '95. So we're really proud about the work here and looking forward to sharing this with everybody. Here's different ways that we set up the logo, different ways we set up the tagline, New Orleans, one time in New Orleans. It's a whole new look and feel. You'll see at the bottom of this where Meredith is, or Mary Kate is pointing. There's the NOLA 300 logo, which we'll talk a little bit about later, that all of you will have access to. And then the way we're branding New Orleans, this is an evolution from our Follow Your NOLA campaign. We're still encouraging people to come here and explore the city and create their own stories, but it's really, Follow Your NOLA is kind of being retired, and this is the new look and feel. Let's see if I can advance this slide. Okay, so in order to come up with this campaign, our team actually went around the city and took pictures. We captured the colors of the French Quarter, everything from the facades to the textures of the city as well. So we took pictures of street signs and faded buildings and gates and even potholes to create these layers of textures. And then what we've done is we've combined this into a really beautiful cohesive design system. So you have colors, you have filters, you have textures, and you start to see how One Time in New Orleans can really come to life in a lot of different ways. We also developed these little flourishes, fleur-de-lis and Mardi Gras masks and little crawfish, and we've texturized a lot of these. And you'll see little hearts over here on the left. And these are little elements that will help us embellish and add to a lot of the creative work that you'll see out in the marketplace. So this is the first time we're doing print at this level. We always do a little bit of local print, but this will be the first time that we've done a big national print campaign, and these are going to be targeted ads, but they really kind of tell the story, some of the stories of the city. So in this particular ad, if you're from New Orleans, you probably know Steve Gleason or know of this story, and I'll just read a little bit of it for you here. One time in New Orleans, an angel blocked a punt. 13 months after Katrina, the Saints returned to the Dome on a Monday night. On the fifth play of the game, special teams player Steve Gleason flew over the middle and blocked Atlanta's punt as millions screamed, cried, and danced. The moment became a symbol of the city's rebirth, and Gleason's subsequent battle with ALS has come to represent the city's no white flags mentality. A statue now commemorates the play outside the Superdome. Visit New Orleans and start your story with hashtag One Time in New Orleans, or One Time in NOLA. So this will be very targeted, and it will run in sports magazines and specific places that resonate with this audience, but it gives you this idea of us telling stories about the city's history and past, and it's something you can do when you're here. You can come see that statue. Same with World War II Museum. We talk about how Andrew Higgins built the Higgins craft, which Eisenhower credited with the U.S. being able to win the war, and how you can come and see that boat and a lot more of World War II history at the beautiful National World War II Museum. This is one of my favorite ads. This is One Time in New Orleans. Bo Diddley pulled Shorty, Trombone Shorty, on stage. I'll read this to you real quick. From a young age, Trombone Shorty has been inseparable from his horn. So when his mother, Lois, brought him to see Bo Diddley at Jazz Fest, he took it with him and played along with the legendary bluesman from the crowd. Diddley took notice and had the crowd pass the 4-year-old boy and his horn to the stage. He blew everyone away. Today, Trombone Shorty closes out the final day of Jazz Fest himself, and other members of his talented family, the Andrews, split time between their hometown and touring the world. Visit New Orleans and start your story with hashtag One Time in NOLA. So another great, beautiful story about our city's history, and something you can come do today and see Shorty close out Jazz Fest. These are some of our digital ads, all showing people, showing experiences, really kind of unfolding this whole storytelling concept. And here's our TV spot. So you're going to want your sound up for this. And Meredith, I may need you to press play on that for me. We can try. Oh. All right, apologies if you couldn't hear that. I couldn't hear it on my end, but I do have a link here in the webinar, and I would encourage you guys to check it out. This is a 60-second spot. It is featuring Johnny Vodakovich on drums and Lloyd Dillon Jr. as our storyteller, and he's basically telling these different stories about New Orleans. it's a beautiful spot. I'm sorry that if it didn't come out as well on the webinar, but I do encourage you guys to check it out when you have a chance. Okay, Meredith, can you forward me one more time? All right, so one other very exciting piece of what we're going to be doing this year is a story booth. And we have created this interactive story booth from a shipping container. It's a 20 feet long, and we're going to set this up at different events and locations around the city and encourage people who are in town, locals and visitors, at these events to come inside the story booth and tell their story. And I'll show you how that works a little bit. So on the outside, you're going to have these monitors with instructions on exactly how everything works and what to do. There's a little canopy that protects you from the sun and elements there as you're engaging in what to do. And then all of these materials are being made from reclaimed New Orleans wood and other materials. The One Time in New Orleans logo will light up, so it'll look really beautiful at night. And then what you'll do is you'll walk in and you'll be invited to basically, you'll step on a little button and you'll be invited to tell a story about your time in New Orleans. And you'll have different prompts before you go in, like tell me a story about something you ate, or tell me a story about a friend you made while you were here. And so we're going to encourage people from all over the country who are here at these events to basically sit down and tell us a quick little minute, 45-second to a minute and a half story. And we're going to shoot this inside with 2 different cameras. So there'll be this double exposure component to it. And we're also going to be projecting images on the storyteller. And this is just an example of what it might look like, but we went around the city a couple weeks ago and shot all this different footage, a lot of it kind of ethereal, just beautiful New Orleans shots of, you know, Spanish moss and sunlight, but also some more specific things like snowballs and po' boys and things like that. And as someone's talking, we're using IBM Watson technology in the booth to actually project some of the content that they're talking about onto them and into the background. So we think these will be really beautiful, compelling stories, and we're excited to see how this rolls out. These are the story booth activations that have been scheduled so far that we're looking at scheduling. The first time this thing gets stood up will be at NOLA Christmas Fest, which will be in the Convention Center. And we'll have specific dates on the website, and I'm happy to share those with Meredith once we get those completely locked down. And then we're looking at New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, WrestleMania, maybe a convention for some big meeting that's coming into town. We're also hoping to do this at French Quarter Fest, ideally at Jazz Fest if we can get all the pieces worked out, maybe for Pride and Essence, and then Voodoo next year as they celebrate their 20th anniversary. Let's see what else we have. Okay, we'll also have a smaller booth that is at the airport. And here we will encourage people to just come in either on their way to their plane when they're leaving town and tell their story about their experience. And so this will be a little smaller. It won't be the projection with a double exposure camera, but there will be some prompts, and it'll be a nice little easy way for us to collect stories from people as they're leaving town. We're also working with StoryCorps. This is a really exciting project where they're going to come in and capture stories, I want to say from 75 different locals and about their experience in New Orleans. And these, I'm not sure if you're familiar with StoryCorps, but these stories get documented into the Library of Congress. So we're very excited about that. And then we're working with Brandon Odoms, B-Mike, to do 3 murals around the city telling some part of the city's history with some One Time in New Orleans component to it. We haven't identified those buildings yet, but we're looking at kind of spreading it around the city and creating this almost like a scavenger hunt type of situation for visitors to come seek them out and hopefully take pictures in front of them and tell their friends about not only about the beautiful imagery that they're seeing, but how amazing New Orleans is, and really kind of dive a little deeper into our history. A lot of the stories that we're telling and the information that you'll see continue to roll out is on our website, onetimeinneworleans.com. Here you'll see stories about Leah Chase and how she fed the civil rights movement, to Mardi Gras and how it was really a very open and welcoming experience for people of all different races, genders, and so also we talk about how the city is turning 300 and everything we're going to be celebrating there. And we even have a little spotlight here where we've actually celebrated different people in the city through influencer marketing, and we brought in an influencer named 13th Witness, and he went around the city and basically told the story of people that work and live in the city, and just really really beautiful photography. So I encourage you to check out onetimeinneworleans.com and explore some of those stories. This is the official Tricentennial website that the city has set up, and this is where you'll find all the official events and kind of the specific city information. So it's a little different from One Time in New Orleans, which is the tourism campaign. This is more official city information, and there's information about the Gallier Hall renovation, which is kind of the city, this administration's project for the Tricentennial. And then there's information about the Tricentennial. There's some, there's also a full calendar of all the different events, and that continues to get added to. This is just a quick little snapshot. The logo, the URL at the top will take you there to all of the different Tricentennial events. If you've been downtown, you may have noticed these NOLA 300 banners. We put up over 230 of these on downtown poles. They're in Duncan Plaza, they're on Canal Street and Poitras Street, and this is just to help get the word out that we are turning 300, and we want people to enjoy those, to take part in that. Mnemonic installation. So this is something very exciting. We're going to have these big 300 signs at 3 different locations around the city, and we're encouraging people to seek them out, take their pictures in front of them, post it on social. This is what they'll look like. They light up, they change colors. That's our boss, Mark Romig, posing in front of one of these yesterday, the day before. These just got finished, and they're being installed this week. Some of them are. There'll be one at Washington Artillery Park, right on those steps across from the Jackson Square. We'll also have one at Waldenburg Park and one at Big Lake at City Park. I believe the Big Lake installation is happening today. So here's our logos. This is the one I mentioned earlier, NOLA 300, 1718 to 2018. You guys as small businesses are welcome to use these however you see fit to promote the Tricentennial and note that New Orleans is turning 300. Just not for commercial use. So you can't put these or this official logo that Alexa Pulitzer did from the city on merchandise and sell that merchandise. So you can't like put this on a t-shirt and sell the t-shirt without working through the Tricentennial office at City Hall. But you can put this on your materials that you're not selling on press releases or in your store or on your ads that you use to promote your business. And here's a little more information about that. And if Meredith shares this slideshow with everyone, there's a link to the style guide that kind of has all the rules and different ways to use the logo. So as long as it's not on merchandise that's being sold, you're welcome to use it. We have a version with the mayor's name and without. And we also are working with the mayor's office to print yard signs, koozies, car magnets, and window clings. And the window clings will look like this. All of those pieces will look like this. And we can put you in touch with the people at City Hall to request those. It'll be done via email to start, and we'll just see what the demand is. But we'd love for all the small businesses in the city or large businesses to participate and put these not only just in your businesses, but also consider putting it on your car and in your yard with a sign as well. Those should be available in a few weeks. Okay, I think it's Mary Kate's turn.
Okay, everyone, good morning. I am Mary Kate Hutchinson. I am the account executive for both Visit New Orleans and Go NOLA 504 accounts. And as you can see, these are the two official tourism accounts for New Orleans. Visit New Orleans is more of a bird's eye view, the overall iconic NOLA. It's really the main tourism social media outlet. On Facebook, we have about over 500,000 followers, Twitter about 100,000 followers, and on Instagram, almost 200,000 followers. So this is the account that we post the iconic New Orleans, the beignets, the streetcars, the crawfish, the jazz fest, different things like that. And while Go NOLA, it's more of the insider's guide and off the beaten path. It has followers that range from about 40,000 to 50,000 people that follow our accounts. And it also is in tandem with the blog, GoNOLA.com, if you ever want to check that out. But Go NOLA is different from Visit New Orleans because, again, it's that off the beaten path. We feature things like Frenchman Street or new business openings, which is why this is so great for y'all, because this is something that y'all could potentially be featured on. So as Jeremy just walked you through, we have completely shifted gears when it comes to social media as of late, because we are retiring hashtag follow your NOLA, and hashtag one time in NOLA is now the new branded hashtag of New Orleans. And not only are we switching hashtags, but we're starting to focus more on storytelling, because as Jeremy said, of course, New Orleans is built on 300 years of stories, and we want to share that because that's what people can take home as their souvenirs. And so we're inviting people to come to New Orleans and start their story, or to continue their story, if you will. But yes, we're still posting the things like beignets on Visit New Orleans and local businesses on Go NOLA, but we're sharing the stories behind them. So if we want to turn the slide, what I've included over the next couple of slides are examples of recent content, so you know what kind of imageries and stories we look for, because we're happy to retweet or regram content from different local businesses like yourselves, but it does have to meet our brand standards and litmus tests. And this goes anywhere from, we would love to have stories behind your photos, but it needs to be beautiful imagery that people can look at it and say, okay, that's New Orleans. We don't want it to see like it's, any old city like Atlanta or Charleston. We want it to be iconic to New Orleans, to show that New Orleans is special and different like any other place, because it is. So this is first example is a little kid, he's so cute, eating a little beignet, and the copy reads, New Orleans, celebrating 300 years of powdered sugar kisses and adorable sugar rushes. Do you remember your first beignet? Tell us about it with hashtag one time in NOLA. And then what we're doing, so this is an example of a post where people can see the kinds of stories they can get or start when they come to New Orleans. And a lot of people are then commenting and telling us their stories. And we have people on our team called community managers. And community managers are people that actually talk to people online all day. So if you've ever commented on a Visit New Orleans or Go NOLA post, and Visit New Orleans commented back at you, that's what a community manager does. And so we are then asking people for stories and interviewing them, and not just people that have visited, but locals and small business owners alike. I actually had a call yesterday with the team over at Toops South and Toops Meadery to go over the story about why Isaac Toops chose New Orleans to start his restaurant, and different things like that. So this is all stuff that we would love to share and get small businesses involved, but we really need your stories. So a second example is an actual story from a coworker of mine, and we know that second lines, specifically weddings, are always top performers. And we chose this photo because not only is it a wonderful photo, it did very well, it's also two women, and we also want to show that New Orleans is a very open place for anyone, whether they're in the LGBT community or not. And so the copy reads, in New Orleans, weddings are a celebration of love shared with everyone on the street, even onlookers taking a leisurely stroll through the French Quarter. Here's a favorite wedding memory from Jordan C. One time in NOLA, my girlfriend and I witnessed newly wedded bliss. We heard the music first. Then came two women dressed in white, hand in hand, second lining down the street to celebrate their nuptials. Traffic stopped. We watched. We clapped. We congratulated these elated strangers like they were loved ones. And in that moment, they were. Tell us your best wedding second line story with hashtag one time in NOLA. And we do things like this because we want the visitor to not only see the picture and say, oh, that's beautiful, I want to be a part of that, but we want them to read the story and know that you can just be walking down the French Quarter and stumble upon something like this. I mean, that happens every day. I'm sure everyone on this call has done some sort of thing where they just stumbled along a second line. So if you want to turn the page, this next post is from Jean's Po' Boys. And this is something that, again, food is so iconic to New Orleans. Everyone loves the food here, and specifically Po' Boys. And something about Jean's that's funny is it's kind of off the beaten path, but it's so known once you hear about it because it's open 24 hours and it's just a delicious po' boy. So this copy reads, this is the story of only when fried food will do. For the days when overindulgence the evening prior requires a recovery meal. For the nights when all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. and wait, did anyone even eat dinner? Enter Jean's Po' Boys, open 24 hours like a sanctuary for New Orleans' everlasting appetite. Some call it the Pink House. You might just call it your saving grace. Pro tip, pair that roast beef po' boy with a frozen daiquiri from the shop behind Jean's. It's magical. Which po' boy are you ordering? Tell us with hashtag one time in NOLA. And we had so many people comment on this and say, oh my gosh, I remember I had this po' boy from Parkway. It was delicious. It was so fun. I went there with my family. So this is not only getting people wanting to come here and go to these places like Jean's Po' Boys and like Parkways, but it's also being nostalgic and getting people to think about their trip if they've visited here in the past and wanting to come again. So this next photo, our photographer was in the French Quarter taking images, and she stumbled upon this guy named Hugo who was visiting New Orleans and actually painting Jackson Square. And we asked him a couple of questions, and here's what he said. What's your favorite memory from Jackson Square? Hashtag one time in NOLA, a painter paid a visit to some old pals. Hugo, a Scottish artist, came to New Orleans to spend some time with a few friends. One morning, he decided to pack up his paints, canvas, and tripod and head to Jackson Square for a sunrise session with our city's favorite muse. Now, he has his own version of New Orleans to take home and show off. Hugo's story might be a short one, but to us, it's a work of art. Visit New Orleans, capture your story, and capture your stay, and share your stories with hashtag one time in NOLA. Now, this is something so special because we just happened upon Hugo, and he told us this story, but he thought New Orleans was such a beautiful place that he wanted to save it and capture a work of art. So this is what we're doing with these stories, is not only telling them, but showing that they can be created in many different ways. Okay, perfect. Our community managers, like I said, are going through and conducting interviews. And this is the process in which we take this. And so this is an example of, if we see an image that you post, for instance, this Wanderlust crew posted this image that was beautiful, and we knew that we had to share it. And so what we do is then we ask for permission to share the image, which we would do with you as well, and then we ask for their story. And we go in and ask about their favorite times, why they chose New Orleans, what their favorite things were to do, and it ends up turning into such a beautiful post. And we actually posted this image yesterday on Visit New Orleans, if you want to check it out, and of course, double tap. Oh, we love that like. But this is the process that we go through with not just people and tourists, but locals and small businesses alike. So this is how we're really going through and interviewing different people and making sure that they know that we want them to share their stories and not just their images with us. So next, how can you get involved? So this is something that, again, like I said, we would love to share content, but it does need to meet the type of images, the standards that I just laid out for you. but we would, of course, love for you to share your story with hashtag #OneTimeInNOLA. This is really a direct line to Visit New Orleans and Go NOLA, because we are checking these hashtags all day, every day, and really encouraging people to share their stories when they use it. And not only can you share your story with hashtag #OneTimeInNOLA, you can create your own 300 mnemonic device. As you can see to the right, here's some examples. That you can see some beignets in Cafe au Lait from Cafe du Monde, and a po' boy and a beer from Parkway Bakery. So this is something that you can do on your own. Just get a 3 and then create 2 zeros with whatever materials you have that relate to your business. Take an image of it, and there's a potential for us to share it. That's something that we really want everyone in the world to know, that this is our 300th anniversary, and you are a huge part of that. And by doing this, creating your own mnemonic device and sharing it on social media and using hashtag #OneTimeInNOLA and sharing not only your story about why you have your small business in New Orleans, but share stories about different memories that you've had over the years, or different people that have come into your business that you've learned something from, or just there's so many opportunities and options to share, and we would love to hear all of them. And not only that, but tag Visit New Orleans and Go NOLA in things like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter posts, because this is something that we can engage with. And lastly, we would love for you to engage with your followers, comment on their pictures, like them, and also encourage storytelling, because if we all work together to encourage people telling their stories and sharing their stories with hashtag #OneTimeInNOLA, we would think that this can be so, so successful, because we would love to get locals and small businesses involved and not just tourists. So yeah, that is all for me. I'm going to give it on back to Meredith.
All right, thank you so much. So if I'm looking in the questions box, so if anyone has any questions about anything today, I can ask our presenters. If you think of anything later, too, you're welcome to reach out to us. Like I mentioned, this was recorded, and we will have the slides, the recording, and I'll also include our contact information if you want to follow up at a later time. But Jeremy, Mary Kate, was there anything else you guys wanted for the last part? Oh, here we go. I just got one. Someone asked, how do you become an official Tricentennial event?
I can take that one.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I can.
So yeah, submit that to, you can submit it to me, and then it goes through City Hall. The Tricentennial office is reviewing all the different events that come through. You can imagine there's hundreds of them that come through, and I'd be happy to run that by their office and put you in touch with them for more information.
Yeah. Jeremy, is it okay if I share your email with them?
Sure.
Okay, cool. I will include that in the follow-up email with the links to the slides. Alrighty. And let's see. So I have another question. So it says, if I post things on my business page asking customers to share their stories, just tag you in their story to be shared? And their story may be shared? Excuse me.
Yeah, that would work out perfectly. Definitely tag Visit New Orleans or Go NOLA, and we'll see it and be able to see it that way. That's perfect.
It's Go NOLA 504, just to help if you are tagging that, and you can tag #OneTimeInNOLA or #OneTime in New Orleans. In terms of whether or not we share it, it really depends on the story. We try to keep these positive. When this story first broke about the campaign, I don't know if you guys followed along on Twitter, but there was a lot of discussion around #OneTime in NOLA, and we felt like there was, you're always going to get some negative stuff, but overall, New Orleanians seemed to have a lot of fun with it, and they were telling these hilarious stories, and everything from someone walking their dog and running into a peacock, to someone having a contractor working on their house and then falling through the ceiling into the floor below, but everybody was okay. Just different quirky stories. I think the most important thing for us that we're looking for from a social standpoint is it interesting? Is it compelling? Is it fun? Does it make someone smile when they read it and make them want to come visit or learn more about the city?
And I I got another question here, and they want to know, does the Tricentennial celebration include the NOLA Plantation country and the surrounding parishes as well, or is it just Orleans?
I think everything is on the table. I'm not sure what from our standpoint, from a tourism marketing standpoint, our tax base and our funding really is centered in Orleans Parish, but a lot of times we'll get requests for information outside of the city for day trips and plantation country, and we're happy to promote that as well. I just don't know what the specific correlation would be with the 300th there. And we're tying the celebration specifically to whenever Bienville put a camp or a fort or a pillow down on the ground in May of 2018 in the city. So I'd say it doesn't hurt to submit it, but I don't know that we wouldn't promote something that would be in outside of the city, at a plantation or one of the attractions that visitors like to come here and enjoy.
And then I have another question here too, and they ask, for the 300 image you showed, you guys included kind of a branded 3. Can the 3 be any form that people like, or does it have to be that specific one?
No, I think it could be any sort of 3.
Yeah, it can be any 3. I mean, that's a good question, because unless we're distributing the 3s for everyone, then it's kind of on your own. So, yeah, have fun with it. Have fun with it. Even some of those examples, even the Parkway example, it wasn't perfect, which is fine. The 3 was the same, but the basket in the middle that was supposed to be the first 0 actually looked more like a 1 to me, but it's fine. Just have fun with it.
Cool. And I know too, there's so many different businesses out there, and sometimes you're like, oh, I'm an accountant. You might not see the direct correlation, but something I always like to remind people when we're talking about local businesses and supporting local is, that a rising tide lifts all ships. So, if you work with independent businesses and they're having a great year, that could also be great for you. So even if you're in accounting or real estate, it does help to promote this, because our city grows together, and, pushes forward in that way. So I wanted to add a note about that, because some people were curious how, their industry might not be directly related to tourism, but, it's still our city, and it's still our celebration.
Yeah, it's very important to us that everyone feels included in this process. So to the degree that you can, just embrace the idea of us turning 300. I think it's a great opportunity for local businesses to promote what's happening in the city. We're really anticipating a boost in visitation because of this. We're going to try to give more and more people a reason to come visit. That's our job. And turning 300 and being part of this 300 celebration is just one more great reason to come.
Yeah, I want to go try out all the photo booths. They look so cool.
Yeah, those are going to be a lot of fun. We're excited about that. We're actually doing a walkthrough today, so we'll keep you posted on those.
All right. Well, I think that was it for questions. If anyone wants to try to type one in real quick, we got a few more minutes. But I want to thank our speakers for being with us today and sharing this amazing information. A lot of good ideas. I know you guys reach so many audiences, both locally and nationally. So it's a great opportunity to be, getting in on this wave. Oh, we got one more that snuck in. Okay. Yep. And the locations of the lighted 300 signs will be included as well. They were on that map Jeremy shared, and all the slides will be up so you can see. Quick recap, Jeremy. It was City Park, the French Quarter, and where was the third one?
Well, Washington Artillery and Waldenburg Park, there'll be 2 there. And then the one at Big Lake, I think, is going up today. I think it's being installed today, but I'm not 100% sure. Right at Big Lake at City Park.
Yeah. Okay. So people, another question came through, and they said if we have a product such as a commemorative tile, is there a place to contact to show the product for official consideration?
Well, does the tile include the official logo, or want to include the logo on the tile, or is it something else? Is it like an original design?
It said it can. I think there was an original design, and then they're also looking at using the official logo.
Yeah, so for official logo use, that would be, if you're going to sell those tiles, we would want to run that through the city, through the Mayor's Office of Cultural Economy. They're kind of overseeing the Tricentennial merchandise piece. I'm sure they'd be happy to consider it. They're definitely listening to all requests. And then beyond that, I think, from a Tricentennial standpoint, I've seen different designs from different companies. I've seen Dirty Coast, the t-shirt company, they put out a really interesting design for Tricentennial that looked nothing like the official logo or what we've done, but I'm sure it'll sell a lot.
Yeah, so to clarify, businesses are welcome to create their own original design and own original messaging around it, but if they wanted to use the official logo that you showed in the slides, that has to go through the 300 committee, correct?
Right. Just from for selling merchandise.
Okay.
But feel free to put it on stuff that you're not selling.
Yeah, like social media or websites, newsletters.
Yeah, exactly.
They like celebrating 300.
Right, and when the window clings are out, I think we're going to ask for like 2,000 to start. So once those are available, Meredith, we can get you the information. You can send it to the group and say, hey, here's how to pick these up, 4-yard signs or whatever you'd like. They're working on storage right now.
Yeah. And then how do you get in contact with the committee if you wanted to submit something to be featured, like the product that
you can start with me, and I can route it to the right people. There's a couple different people that we work with. So start with me. That'll make it a little easier, and I can kind of set it up for you.
Yep, and I heard someone already told us that the 300 is up at the big lake in City Park. It was installed yesterday. So
cool. Awesome.
Go for a walk in this amazing weather. Go check it out and get started on your marketing.
Yeah, and if you go when it's starting to get dark, it'll light up. So that's a pretty time to take a picture.
Is it lit up all night or just
I think so. We'll see. I think that's the plan.
All righty. Well, thank you guys both so much, and thanks to everyone who attended. I hope you found it valuable. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And start planning early. It's going to be the new year before we know it.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
All right, great. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And the webinar and the materials will be posted probably by tomorrow. So keep an eye out for those.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.